Hey guys, in this video I'll show you my one-shot 100 million damage crossbow build. With this build you can pretty much solo every content this game provides, but just a heads up, this isn't exactly a budget build, but I believe it's the cheapest build for you to solo every single pinnacle bosses out there, mostly within a single shot. Okay, let's begin. What you see here is mostly the endgame equipment. There are two main things that makes this work. Firstly is this glove. It deals more damage the more intelligence you get, and also the dexterity, it helps quite a lot as well. And then there is these boots. Initially I only saw like sorcerer and witches utilizing these boots, so I was curious about it since the overkill damage can be any damage. Next is this weird helmet that barely anyone uses, but it helps so much in mapping. I'll explain about why I'm using this helmet in a bit. The rest of the equipment is pretty much the generic stat stacker out there uses. Attribute and resistant grand regalia, so you can pretty much cap out your resistance easily. Then these two rings, you will need a lot of intelligence on it. The rest you can balance out with dex or strength, both also helps. Also try to include max HP, every little HP helps in the long run as well. Lastly, ingenuity belt. Getting them around 76%, 75% corrupted is quite cheap, and I believe it's sufficient enough. And although my endgame setup it's around like 150 divine, if I remember correctly, I do think that 65 divine should be enough investment for solo content. And then as for crossbow, you will need elemental damage with attacks, critical hit chance, and some physical damage. The higher damage, the better it is, but not much people selling mid-tier crossbow with decently cheap price. So just take what you can, since I already tested out the minimum damage crossbow needs for this build, which you can see in the intro clip. I was running around in the T15 100% delirious map. It was quite a breeze, no trouble at all, and everything just died within one shot. Well, most of them. We'll talk about our skill gem now. We'll be using not shock burst round, not plasma shots, but galvanic shots for both mapping and bossing. We'll be equipping with martial tempo, lightning infusion, fork, primer armament, and ambush. And then our frost wall, try to keep it like the lower the level possible, lowest level possible, and then get around like fortress, spell cascade, spell echo, arcane tempo, icicles. Then shield charge. Oh yeah, shield charge require like you best get like Adura shield because it has a cooldown as well of like 3 seconds, but if you use the shield it'll probably be around like 2 seconds, and then you get second wind. Stomping ground I'm not sure like does it really help a lot, but close combat and momentum also helps. Like if you use it and then accidentally bump on the monster, sometimes it can trigger your cast on freeze to create frost wall. Oh yeah, my cast on freeze, it's here. Okay, let's talk about the cast on freeze. The reason I'm using cast on freeze rather than cast on crit or cast on shock is because cast on shock only gain like 2 energy, meanwhile cast on crit gains 1 energy you crit, although it's still quite fast. But on the other hand, cast on freeze you gain like 10 energy every time you freeze an enemy with hits. That's where this helmet comes in, because I'm turning lightning damage from hit contribute to freeze build up instead. So I'm gonna keep proccing this cast on freeze, and it only use 60 spirit. And so my cast on freeze, I use frost wall, also the lowest level possible, spell cascade, impetus, ingenuity, and fortress. And then next would be Wind Dancer, well, considering my evasion is not exactly that high, I'm just mainly using Wind Dancer for when enemy hits you, you will repel them back, sometimes even wipe the whole screen as well. And also it will proc the cast on freeze. And then I include it with blind, maim, unbreakable so that you don't get stunned so easily, and then energy barrier. I'm not sure how this actually helps, but it does somehow keep me invulnerable once in a while. I'm not sure. The next is Bling. Bling, and I could put it like Ingenuity, Arcane Tempo, Cannibalism. This one's for Life Leeching, and also Clarity. Although Clarity is not exactly super needed, but it does help because we are running like minor metals. And then next would be Herald of Ice. We will be running Fire Infusion, Primal Armament, Conduction, Long Shot, and Magnified. Why we are running fire? Because we want to get like the shock chance using fire damage. Therefore, to trigger Herald Thunder, and then Herald Thunder, we're just gonna run the generic Innervate, Lightning Infusion, Neural Overload, and Electrocute with Lightning Mastery. Although most of the 5th slot here is not like mandatory, but it does help in every little bits that you need lah, basically. Oh yeah, there's also the Ripwire Ballista. I'm using this mainly to keep myself safe when I'm looting and also checking inventories, since it pins the enemy, so I can just at least feel safe for that short moment. Especially when you know when you're checking a ritual, you try to roll and checking each and every of the equipment to see is it worth trading and stuff. And yeah, this one is running around Scatter Shot, Martial Tempo, Font of Rage, and Ancestral Urgency. And then move on, we go to our passive skill. The Ascendancy passive skill, I believe it's just like very simple, just go towards this path just so you can use the same support gem in different skill. And also of course we have to go for this. This one is like literally the most important for Gemling Legionaire. And then for skill, for the other skill down here would just basically just go right down here all the way. Intelligence, I don't think I add anything other than intelligence because it's just the only thing you need basically. And then go until down here, we get this against the Darkness Time Lost Diamond. In the early game, it's best to get like extra lightning damage and hopefully also spirit lah, but in the late game it will be more beneficial for you to get like intelligence along with spirit. And then well, just go down here. This part here actually helps a lot, this critical damage bonus with crossbow, so don't ever miss this out. And then as well as lightning rod, yep, this is pretty much every lightning build out there gonna run this. Go until all the way here. I got this for actually quite expensive for this. Just get until like maybe like 8% chaos, negative 8% chaos resistance should be good enough for most of the people out there, and then 6% elemental resist. Just so you can save up for some skill point in the middle here and here, just to get all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skill, 5 skill. Next we go. This one you can actually go after late game. You can actually go for this one, Falcon Dive instead. This one actually increase more attack speed later on, but for now I just run this because it just requires 3 skill point. And then go all the way up here. This thing, a lot of people actually miss out on this. This actually helps so much, especially since you know your ice wall is going to be full HP at all times. This increase critical hit chance and also 80% damage. That's a huge damage right there. And then even also with the 80% critical damage bonus. After that, we'll just go all the way to here. This one is too helpful. I just can't miss this out. And then go all the way here. We won't be running all this because it requires like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get here. I rather just put this on the amulet, so I can use the skill point for other things like mind over matter. This helps you survive. So this is too great to miss out. And then ingenuity 25, intelligence, easy peasy. This is how for the passive skill is. It's pretty simple. Oh yeah, most of them you're just gonna be running like critical hit chance and crossbow damage, elemental damage, projectile damage. That's the most important. You can just get whatever, like whichever is cheapest for you. Crossbow and critical hit chance usually is the cheapest choice. And if you can get others, of course it'll be helpful as well. Also, you need at least one Sapphire with the mana on kill. Just one of them should be sufficient to run this whole build. The way to use this build to kill the pinnacle bosses, just summon Frost Wall next to the boss as close as possible and shoot the Frost Wall with a Galvanic Shard. With that, I guess that's pretty much all of it. And even though I say there's no budget build for my build, there is technically a 10 divine budget build, and it's running T15 map quite easily as seen from this clip. It's just that it can't one-shot pinnacle bosses unless you get a decent crossbow that can boost your galvanic shards up to at least 22k DPS, which defeats the purpose of a budget build. And I'll upload all of them on the max row anyway. Lastly, I have also compiled all of the builds budgets so that you can see pretty much the average budget for all the items for the builds. Like this one is for the 10 divine, and this is the 65 divine budget, and I will leave the links in the video description below.